मैंडेटरी करने से जो रोड पर स्टील सीमेंट आता है उसके कारण जो पोल्यूशन होता है वो नहीं होगा। फिर फाइबर रीइंफोर्स पॉलीमर एफआरपी को उसको भी हम इनकरेज कर रहे हैं। ग्लास फाइबर रीइंफोर्स स्टील उसको भी कर रहे हैं। वेस्ट मैनेजमेंट का हमने काफ़ी उपयोग किया। अभी जो वेस्ट में जो सेग्रीगेशन होता है उसमें जो प्लास्टिक निकलता है, प्लास्टिक से क्रूड पेट्रोल भी तैयार हो सकता है। इसके साथ साथ मुझे बहुत खुशी है कि हम ये जो हमारी परली है इससे इथेनॉल बना रहे हैं, एविएशन फ्यूल बना रहे हैं, उसमें अभी बायो बिटुमिन भी तैयार हो रहा है। और ये जो देश में 400 प्रोजेक्ट अब लगभग प्रोसेस में 60 चालू हो गए हैं, जिसमें से बाय प्रोडक्ट करके सीएनजी एलएनजी बनने के बाद उसमें से ये लिग्नेंट करके तैयार होता है और ये 35% हम बिटुमिन में डाल सकते हैं। उसके भी स्पेसिफिकेशन हम तैयार कर रहे हैं, जिसके कारण अब किसान अन्नदाता नहीं, अब किसान ऊर्जादाता नहीं, किसान ईंधन दाता नहीं, तो किसान बिटुमिन दाता भी बनेगा और हवाई ईंधन भी दाता बनेगा, जिससे गांव गरीब मजदूर किसान का कल्याण होगा और रूरल डेवलपमेंट और बढ़ेगी।
Hello, Moto.
Motorola Razr 50 Ultra comes with Google Gemini.
For every news from every part of the country, डाउनलोड कीजिए NDTV ऐप। सिर्फ एक ऐप जो आपको बताता है क्या हो रहा है इन द वर्ल्ड ऑफ बिजनेस, पॉलिटिक्स, स्पोर्ट्स एंड एंटरटेनमेंट। देखना ना भूलें हमारी मूवी युद्रा इन द थिएटर। Read all about Yudra on the NDTV app. So download now.
I've been reporting on all issues, big and small, from Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, rest of South India, bringing you all the action, all that you need to know, all that you want to know.
The energy of Maximum City is infectious. I bring in that energy in our news coverage from financial capital Mumbai.
India's IT capital is always buzz. It's literally a city that never sleeps. And I keep you ahead on all the Bengaluru buzz.
Covering from the southernmost part of India over the last 23 years, I bring in-depth and 360-degree coverage from the Dravidian heartland.
The land of Mishti is also known for its bitter politics. I have seen much water flow under the Howrah Bridge, covering Bengal in all its vivid colors.
Stay informed and entertained with the new and updated NDTV News app. You can watch all our channels live, listen to podcasts, read breaking and exclusive news from around the world and more. Download the NDTV app today and get access to the best journalism and storytelling on your smartphone or tablet. The NDTV app. News that matters to you.
New day, new show, a new experience.
Start your day with the news, not views.
We bring you stories that matter
And impact your life.
News that informs and keeps you ahead. From Maximum City, Mumbai,
To the seat of power, Delhi.
NDTV brings you the best breakfast show. Breakfast news on NDTV, 8 a.m. every day.
I've been reporting on all issues, big and small, from Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, rest of South India, bringing you all the action, all that you need to know, all that you want to know.
The energy of Maximum City is infectious. I bring in that energy in our news coverage from financial capital Mumbai.
India's IT capital is always buzz. It's literally a city that never sleeps. And I keep you ahead on all the Bengaluru buzz.
Covering from the southernmost part of India over the last 23 years, I bring in-depth and 360-degree coverage from the Dravidian heartland.
The land of Mishti is also known.
Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says Iran will pay after Iran fired around 180 missiles at Israel. Israel says it's sending additional forces to its ground operation inside Lebanon. US warns of severe consequences. Israel's foreign minister says the UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres and from entering the country, says the decision barring him is a response to his failure to unequivocally condemn Iran's missile attack on Israel. IF chopper airdropping flood relief in Bihar. Sitamarhi makes a forced landing in flood waters. The chopper lands in the shallow waters. All crew members are safe. Countdown to Haryana Assembly polls. Congress Chief Mallikarjun Kharge, Priyanka Gandhi Vadra and Rajnath Singh are all campaigning in Haryana today. Kharge says Khattar was replaced as Chief Minister because double-engine government had failed. Rajnath Singh hits out at the Congress for questioning surgical strikes. Gurmeet Ram Rahim Singh, leader of the Dera Sacha Sauda and a convicted rapist, out of jail today, once again following the Election Commission of India's approval of his parole request. The Congress had opposed his parole, citing the Haryana elections. Over 500 kilos of cocaine worth 5,000 crore seized in Delhi today in what is the biggest drug bust in the national capital. 4 men have been arrested. And as the Swachh Bharat campaign completes 10 years, the Prime Minister says the opposition snubbed the Swachh Bharat campaign 10 years ago, says Swachhta has now become a people's movement. Hello and welcome. You're watching NDTV. Our top story, all eyes on Israel after Iran launched a barrage of missiles at Israel last night. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has said Iran will pay. Most of those missiles were intercepted. According to reports, one of the 180-odd ballistic missiles Iran fired last night landed near the Tel Aviv headquarters of the Israeli intelligence service Mossad. A video has emerged on social media which shows a massive crater near the Mossad headquarters. Iran said the barrage was in response to Israel's aggressive acts, including the killing of Hezbollah leader Hassan Nasrallah. Israel has said it's sending additional forces to its ground operation inside Lebanon, which began earlier this week, and has told more villages to evacuate. Hezbollah reports clashes in at least 2 areas near the border, claiming that it repelled one Israeli attack. Meanwhile, Israel's foreign minister has said that the UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres is barred from entering the country, saying that this is a response to his failure to unequivocally condemn Iran's attack on Israel's report.
West Asia is on fire yet again, as nearly 200 ballistic missiles rained down on Israel as Iran launched a massive assault targeting military bases and civilian areas, a move it called a decisive response to Israel's aggression in the region and recent assassinations. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has vowed to retaliate, saying he will make Iran pay for their big mistake.
איראן עשתה הערב טעות גדולה, והיא תשלם על כך. המשטר באיראן לא מבין את נחישותנו להגן על עצמנו, ואת נחישותנו לגמול לאויבינו.
Iran's strike sparked global outrage, with leaders from France, UK, US, EU, among others, condemning the latest escalation in the region. The US, among Israel's strongest allies, came out in support of Tel Aviv, saying that the US military actively supported Israel, while the Pentagon revealed that US fired about a dozen interceptors at the barrage of Iranian ballistic missiles.
My direction, the United States military actively supported the defense of Israel. Make no mistake, the United States is fully supportive of Israel.
While Iran claims 90% of the strikes hit their target, a fact Tel Aviv denies, the massive assault has so far had only one casualty. Both sides have made numerous claims, from Iran claiming it intercepted Israel's famous Iron Dome to Israel claiming most missiles landed on empty land. Despite these claims, the extent of the damage in this attack remains unclear. While many in Iran took to the streets celebrating the strike, across the globe oil prices began to surge as fears grew that a wider conflict could disrupt oil supplies. This latest escalation has left the region and the world on edge, waiting to see how Israel will respond. With Disha Bagchi, NDTV Bureau Report.
So, a massive escalation of the situation in West Asia. What do we know so far of Iran's strikes on Israel? What weaponry was used? Let's go over to Vishnu for all the latest.
Well, what weapons did Iran use to strike Israel last night? Iran has an arsenal of ballistic missiles, cruise missiles and drones, which have been used in the recent past to target Israel. It's believed that nearly 200 ballistic missiles were fired by Iran. Let's focus on that for a moment. Now, Iran operates, for starters, a 300-kilometer range missile called the Shadab-1. Now, that's a relatively short-range missile. It cannot hit Israel. It can only strike targets in this region, well away from Israel, which is over here. Now, another missile is the Fateh missile that flies between 300 and 500 kilometers. Again, that missile doesn't have the range to hit Israel. Another missile is the Shadab-2. It's got longer legs, 500 kilometers, still out of range of targets in Israel. We've got an image of that missile up on the screen as well. As you can see, every missile I'm describing, we've got an actual image of. The Zolfaghar missile can just about touch Israel. It's got a range of 700 kilometers. So parts of Israel just about can be targeted by this missile. There is a missile called the Qiyam-1, which has a range of 50 kilometers more, 750 kilometers. That's what it looks like. It's relatively more advanced, can strike a few more targets in Israel, but not deep inside Israel. But there is the Shahab-3 with a range of 2,000 kilometers, which can quite easily strike all of Israel. In fact, it can strike many other areas in the region. So that's a missile, variants of which may actually have been used. But Israel, for its part, has the world's most sophisticated ballistic missile defense system. It's a tiered defense system. It's a system that was clearly breached last night. Now, we saw video of Iranian missiles hit Tel Aviv. These were some of the launches which actually took place of those ballistic missiles from Iran and making contact with targets in parts of Tel Aviv. Now, Israel does have that ballistic missile defense system. What we don't know is how many of these missiles hit their targets and whether some of the impacts were of fragments of the missiles coming down after they were intercepted by the Israeli missile shield. While we do talk about surface-to-air missiles being fired by Israel in defense, we really do need to take a look at the distance that these surface-to-air missile interceptors travel and the altitude or height to which they can fly to take out threats like the ones that you're seeing on your screen, which are the Iranian ballistic missiles which were fired. So for starters, let's talk a little bit about Israel's arrow system. Now that's the missile. It's part of a system, so we use the word missile and system interchangeably. Now when one talks about surface-to-air missile systems, you have to talk about the range of the missile and you also have to talk about the altitude to which it flies. So the arrow system can intercept incoming ballistic missiles in the exoatmosphere as well, or just outside the atmosphere. It has a range of 2,000 kilometers, 2,400 kilometers, in fact, and it can fly to an altitude of a whopping 100 kilometers. It's perhaps the most advanced system of its class in the world. So that's part one. It was used yesterday, but there were other systems, presumably, which were also used to make a large number of the interceptions. So let's look at the next one, which is the David Sling. Now that's the missile. The missile, it's called the Nammer. It's part of the David Sling system. That can fly to a range of 300 kilometers and an altitude of about 15 odd kilometers in making interceptions. And finally, what we all talk about is the Iron Dome. Now that's the Iron Dome system. It's a relatively short-range missile system. In fact, when one speaks about what Israel has, people say that it's Israel's Iron Dome in action. In fact, Iron Dome is part of that missile defense system that I've been describing. It's the last line of defense. It can fly to an altitude of 10 kilometers and it has a range of about 70 kilometers. It can travel to a distance of about 70 kilometers. But it is that last line of defense. It's not optimally suited to take out ballistic missiles. It's better equipped to take on rockets, short-range rockets of the type that Hamas and Hezbollah have been firing. So that's what Israel has been using to defend itself. Obviously, there have been breaches of the system as well, but it appears that not many lives have been lost. One person is thought to have lost their lives, and the damage primarily is believed to be on Israeli military bases. The big question, will there be an Israeli response, and when will that happen?
All right, Vishnu, thanks so much for joining us with all those details. So Israel fighting for adversaries across the Middle East, across West Asia, and Iran striking Israel with those 200 missiles towards Israel, Iron Dome, intercepting and averting civilian casualties there. So if we take you through all the very latest that one knows, what is there in the foreign media, the Israeli military and Hezbollah, according to reports, are fighting in southern Lebanon. This is a day after the strikes in Israel, and after Israel announced that it was invading. The IDF says it's using precision-guided munitions and close-range engagements inside Lebanon, and Hezbollah has reported that clashes are taking place in at least 2 areas near the border, claiming that they have managed to repel one Israeli attack. This a day after the strikes that were targeting Israel, where over 180, over nearly 200 missiles were launched in the direction of Israel, though Israel says most of them have been intercepted. Now, as we said, Israel is fighting for adversaries across West Asia, across this region. Let's go across to Ghazali, who will take us through the map of the area to understand what Israel is currently facing. Ghazali.
Yes, so let's see through the map that what are the impact areas where Iran launched these missiles and where had it all the impact in Israel. So here you see, this is one of the most critical spots which took the impact as per the Iranian media, though the Israeli media refutes these claims. This is the Nevatim Air Base. Nevatim Air Base is one of the key air bases of Israel which receives a lot of military aid. And all these military, equipment, aid, what Israel uses in Syria, in Yemen, in Lebanon, all these attacks, the aerial strikes, those aircrafts and all are stored here or kept here at the Nevatim Air Base. And Iran has been very excited about the fact that they have hit the Nevatim Air Base. Besides that, there has been one person who was killed, though there was no casualty in Israel due to its air defense system. But there was one person who was killed in the occupied territory of the West Bank, and that person happened to be a Gaza resident. So in West Bank, in the Jericho area, one resident was killed when the damaged part of one of the intercepted missile hit him on his head. And this one fellow was killed here. 2 people have been injured. Now, the third strike which Iranian media and the Iranian government has been talking about is the strike near the Mossad headquarters in Tel Aviv, in the center of Israel. This is for the first time perhaps Iran has hit in the center of Israel, though Israel claims that this impact of the missile which landed in Israel, it was far away from Mossad headquarters. Now, maximum strikes have happened in and around the area of Tel Aviv city and in and around Jerusalem. Besides that, there have been one attack in Gaza Strip. So you see an area very close to the Gaza Strip also came under the missile attack, and that is why Israel has been saying that perhaps Iran, which wanted to kill people in Israel, ended up killing just one person, and that too a Palestinian citizen. Now, if you go to the next map, we'll see that what is exactly happening in West Asia, what are the multi-fronts which we have been talking about Israel. Now, Israel and Iran, you see they don't share any border with each other, and yet Iran and Israel consider each other as hostile nation or as an enemy nation. Yesterday, Iran managed to fire around 180 missiles towards Israel, and Israel managed to intercept, as per Israel's claim, that 90% of those missiles were intercepted. Israel is also engaged with Houthis in Yemen. This is more than 2,000 kilometers here. The Houthis are based here in Yemen, around 2,000 kilometers away from Israel. Then Israel is also engaged with Hezbollah in Lebanon. Lebanon is based on the northern border of Israel, and this Shiite militia group Hezbollah this Houthis in Yemen, they are all part of what Iran calls axis of resistance. Israel calls them axis of evil. Israel is also engaged with Hamas in Gaza. So these are the four players which are fighting with Israel, or Israel has opened its forefront fighting against these people. Now, since yesterday's attack, Israel and Iran have been engaged in claims and counterclaims that what has been the impact of the war, or of the missile which were launched from Iran. Israel says that all the missiles which landed or which were launched from Iran didn't land in or couldn't manage to inflict any damage into Israel, but some missiles landed on empty ground. While Iran said that its missiles have hit the Mossad's headquarters. Iran has not produced any video evidence, neither Israel has given. So as per the claims, we are just showing you the claims and counterclaims by both the parties.